Hi all. Once again welcome to my YouTube channel Future Midwife. In the last video I promised you next class will be the fetal skull. So today let's see about fetal skull. Fetal skull is made up of the base of the skull and the vault or cranium. This vault is made up of anteriorly temporal bones and frontal bones, posteriorly occipital bones. At the side it is made up of two parietal bones. These bones at birth it is thin and easily compressible, which is joined by sutures. So when we compare to the size of the fetal skull, which is larger than the fetal body. The skull bone encase and protect the brain. Fetal skull has three major parts: vault of the cranium, face and base. Before moving to the detailed structure of fetal skull, I'll explain about the different areas of fetal skull. So in that, first one is face. It is the area bounded by the root of the nose and supraorbital ridge, and on the other by the junction of the floor of the mouth with neck. Next will be the vertex. It is the quadrangular area bounded anteriorly by the bregma and coronal sutures, behind by the lambda and lambdoidal sutures, and laterally by lines passing through the parietal eminence. Next will be brow. It is an area bounded on side by the anterior fontanelle and coronal sutures, and on the other side by the root of the nose and supraorbital ridge of the either side. Next one will be the sinciput. It is the area lying in front of the anterior fontanelle and correspond to the area of brow. The last one is occiput. It is the area limited to the occipital bone. The bones of the vault include two frontal bone, two parietal bone, one occipital bone and two temporal bones. The flat bones of the vault are united by means of a non-ossified membrane which is attached to the margin of the bones is called sutures. The fetal skull has sagittal sutures, coronal sutures, frontal sutures and lambdoidal sutures. So we'll see each one. The sagittal sutures lies between two parietal bones. The coronal sutures runs between parietal and frontal bones on either side. The frontal sutures lies between two frontal bones. The lambdoidal sutures separate the occiput bone and two parietal bones. Fontanelle are the membrane-filled space at the meeting point of sutures. The fetal skull has two fontanelles. One we called it as anterior fontanelle or bregma, and the second one is posterior fontanelle or lambda. So we will see what is this. Anterior fontanelle or bregma, which is the meeting point of the sagittal, coronal and frontal sutures. It's in diamond shaped. It measures around 3 into 2 cm, ossified by 1.5 years. Whereas posterior fontanelle, it is the junction of sagittal sutures and the two lambdoidal sutures, which is smaller than the anterior fontanelle. It is Y-shaped. It closes at 6 to 8 weeks. Here I will explain about the diameters of fetal skull. Fetal skull diameter has divided into two: anterior-posterior diameter and transverse diameter. There are 5 anterior-posterior diameter and 3 transverse diameter. So we will see one by one. First we will see about the anterior-posterior diameters. Suboccipito-bregmatic diameter, that is 9.4 cm, which extend from the undersurface of the occipital bone where it meets the neck to the center of the anterior fontanelle or bregma. It is the diameter that present when the head is well flexed and in occipito-anterior position. The second one is occipitofrontal diameter, which is 11 cm. It extends from the external occipital protuberance to the glabella and present when the head is deflexed as in occipito-posterior. The third one is suboccipitofrontal, that is 10.5 centimeter. It is another presenting diameter in occipitoposterior. The fourth one is verticomental, that is 13.5 centimeter, which extend from the vertex to the chin, and it is the longest anterior posterior diameter of the head and the diameter in which brow presents. The last one is submendobregmatic. It is 9.4 centimeter, which extend from the junction of the neck and lower jaw to the center of the anterior fontanelle and is the diameter in face presentation. Here we will see about this transverse diameter. The first one is biparietal, that is 9.4 centimeter. It is the largest transverse diameter in all cephalic presentations. The head is said to be engaged when the biparietal diameter has passed through the pelvic brim. It extends between the two parietal bosses. Second one is bitemporal diameter. It is 8 centimeter, which is the shortest transverse diameter and is between the two temporals. The third one is supral subparietal, that is 8.5 centimeter, which extend from a point below one parietal eminence to another, placed above the opposite parietal eminence. The practical aspect of fetal skull never ends without the landmarks. There are 10 landmarks. We will see one by one. The first landmark is occiput. It is the occipital bone or external occipital protuberance. Second one is sinciput. It is the forehead region of the fetal head. Next one is parietal eminences. These are the eminences of parietal on either side. Next one is mentum. It is the chin. The fifth one is vertical point. It is the center of the sagittal sutures. So next one is frontal point. It is the root of nose. Next one is subocciput. It is the junction between fetal neck and occiput. So next is submentum. It is the junction between neck and chin. The ninth one is biparietal. It is the transverse distance between two parietal eminences. The last one is bitemporal. It is the distance between two lower end of coronal sutures. I think here we can wind up our today's video. This is the simplest and brief description about fetal skull. I think this is enough for the previous day reference for student nurses. So next class we will meet with another episode of midwifery topic. Till that, take care. Bye bye.